Welcome back. It's nice to meet new people sometimes, isn't it? Sometimes it's even nice to escape from them too, because sometimes they don't understand you or try killing you or something, So stick around because today's story is about meeting and escaping. It's called Misery. Once upon a time, a man named Paul Sheldon was out in a place called Silver Creek, Colorado. He was an author, and he was famous for writing Victorian-era romance novels about a character named Misery. Basically, he wrote stories that were boring. His new book was about something different, though. Whenever he'd finish a story, he'd celebrate by smoking and drinking. Now that was out of the way, it was time to pack up his book and drive to New York City. What a perfect drive on a perfect day. But oh no, Paul, watch out for that blizzard. Now Paul was stuck in the snow and unconscious. When Paul woke up, he saw that he was in a strange room and in a strange bed, and standing right by him was this strange woman. She said her name was Annie, and she was his #1 fan. She told him all about how his body was smashed and useless, and how local roads were closed and the phone lines were down. But lucky for Paul, Annie used to be a nurse, so she could take care of him. Soon Annie got really excited because she got Paul's latest book, Misery's Child. She started reading right away. She took a break to tell Paul how much she loved it and introduce him to her favorite pig, Misery. Boy, she knew just how to cheer him up. She stayed up late reading, but late at night she came into Paul's room.
You dirty bird. How could you?
Annie, in 1871, women often died in childbirth. But her spirit is the important thing, and Misery's spirit is still alive.
I don't want her, bitch! I want her! And you murdered her! And don't even think about anybody coming for you. Not the doctors, not your agent, not your family. Because I never called them. Nobody knows you're here. And you better hope nothing happens to me.
After that, Paul just couldn't sleep. Something just didn't feel right. Well, in the morning, Annie knew just how to fix things. First, she would have Paul burn the manuscript he just wrote. Atta boy, Paul, you can do it. Then Annie got him a typewriter so he could write a book just for her about how Misery never died. Sometimes a fresh start is all you need, especially if you're crazy. Paul didn't always like being cooped up in his room, so whenever Annie would leave, he'd pick the lock to his room and do a little exploring. On one trip, he found where Annie was keeping his painkillers. He seemed to really like those. On a later trip, he found Annie's scrapbook. Do you ever have important pictures or newspaper clippings you want to save? Well, you can save those in a scrapbook. Let's see what Annie was saving. So Annie was saving clippings of people she murdered. And Annie turned out to be a pretty good murderer. She had so many memories, about big people and small people. Paul was delighted to learn more about Annie, but he figured he'd better get back to his room. When he woke up in the morning, Annie had a little surprise for him.
What?
You've been out of your room. But you see, Paul, it's all okay. Last night it came so clear. I realize you just need more time.
Hey.
It's for the best.
Annie, please!
God, I love you.
There are just so many ways to say I love you, weren't there? Annie's heart was as big as her hammer. Meanwhile, a local sheriff named Buster was looking for Paul. You see, he knew Paul was missing, and he decided that he'd better search the area and see where Paul was. That led him to Annie's house. Paul saw him pulling up, and Annie didn't want Paul getting too excited, so she took care of him just like a mother hen. Now he could just relax. There we go. Then she answered the door with a smile and said she didn't know where Paul was. She was pretty good at acting normal. The sheriff was about to leave, but then he heard something. He went back in, and boy was he in for a surprise. Like 2 surprises, actually. Surprise! So after all that excitement, Annie had an idea. She would take this revolver and kill Paul and then herself. But Paul thought they should live long enough for him to finish the book. Then they could both die together. Sometimes it's good to brainstorm when you both have ideas. Paul got to work, and Annie laid out the spread for Paul so he could celebrate when the book was done. Paul said this was a special occasion, so they were going to need 2 glasses. But now Paul had a surprise for Annie. Paul tried to escape, but Annie still had a little left in her. Paul wondered how he might use this metal doorstop. Just like that. Paul, you did it! Now Paul was able to go back to New York City, walk with his new cane, and write a new book. But he would never forget about Annie, would he? The end. You might be wondering how Paul was strong enough to fight back. Well, he was resourceful. You see, like, he didn't have weights, so when Annie wasn't looking, he used his typewriter. You know, you don't have to have weights. You can just use the things around you to help you get into shape. Let's look at what we learned today. Scrapbooks are for special memories. There are all kinds of ways to say I love you. Practice acting normal so you can do it when the police show up. Metal doorstops can stop people too because they die. If you like learning how to be a better victim and person, this might be a great channel for you. You should like, share, and subscribe, hit that notification bell, and leave a comment. All that stuff would help this channel grow. We really appreciate it. This is Mr. Mike saying, just be yourself. You're the one and only ever special you, so just be yourself. And with a little practice, you can be yourself and pretend to be normal too. Just keep working on it. Okay, bye.